Let's bring in former homicide detective and Fox News contributor Rod Wheeler. Rod, thanks for being here this morning.
Good morning, Sandra.
As you just heard the report from Rich Setson on the ground there, the unrest continues in the streets of Milwaukee. It is a disaster scene. What do you make of the very latest there?
That's right. Well, the tempers there in that area and that community seems to remain inflamed, and you still have a lot of people that have a lot of aggression towards their local police department. Now, when you look at these facts and circumstances, Sandra, in terms of what happened on Saturday with that criminal suspect, now, we're not just talking a 23-year-old guy that was on his way home from Bible study. We're talking a 23-year-old guy, the suspect, that had a record a mile long, criminal record a mile long, and he was armed with a semi-automatic handgun, Sandra. And did you hear that this guy had more ammunition than the police officers even carry on the street? So this is the type of individual that police officer was faced with on Saturday evening. When he told the guy to drop the weapon, the guy refused to drop the weapon. The police officer did what he was trained to do, what I'm trained to do. You shoot that suspect and you take that suspect down. Now, it's obviously that no one wants anybody to be harmed, but in this particular case, the officer had no choice, Sandra.
And that officer, we are told, has left town for his own safety, and the police department there is backing up his move, saying it was within the law. Meanwhile, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker has put the National Guard on standby in case of any repeat violence. Do you expect that?
You know, I really don't expect any repeat violence. You know, we look at what happened last night. There were some pockets of uprising. I'll tell you what the problem is real quick, though, Sandra, with that city and with Baltimore and with Ferguson. You have to look at the elected officials. In Wisconsin, in the city of Milwaukee, they've elected the same Democrats over and over and over again. And I don't like to make this political, but it is what it is. And until they have a change of leadership in that city, they're going to continue to endure this. Isn't it ironic, though, when you look at Milwaukee, when you look at Baltimore, when you look at Ferguson, it's all ran by these same old-fashioned Democrats with the same ideas. And the people in these communities, Sandra, they are the ones that's suffering. So it's time that we start looking at a variety of candidates and not be so fixated on just Democrats.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry. Rod, it's Dagan McDowell. Was this an instance of riot first, ask questions later? Again, because the more that we'll find out, just simply because there was an officer wearing a body camera, can we look at it like that?
Well, I think it was, Megan, because people started rioting before they knew any of the facts and circumstances. They didn't even know the race of the police officers, and they were rioting. But then again, Sandra, I have to say this, Megan, we had a city alderman there in that city that made this statement. He actually said that the city was going to burn down, continue to burn, unless their demands are not met. Now, this is a leader in that city. What do you expect out of the people that live there?
Well, Harlan Hill here. You know, looking at this case, I feel like people riot when they're not being heard, or they feel like they're not being heard. And I thought David Brown in Dallas, the police chief there, he did an amazing job of reassuring people that they are being heard, that they should come and sign up for the police force, in fact. And I thought that was a remarkable moment. What can local law enforcement do to reassure people, we hear your concerns, and we're gonna make sure that this case is heard?
Well, I can tell you local law enforcement all across the country, they're doing everything they possibly can. And I don't say that because I'm in law enforcement. I say that because that is the truth. They're doing everything they can to reach out to communities. But again, it's going to take a new wave of elected officials, people with new, better ideas to assist these people in these communities. You know, you talk about jobs, you talk about undereducation, you talk about lack of this, lack of that. We need new leadership. That's the answer to all of these issues, guys.
All right, Rod Wheeler, thank you for joining us on this breaking news this morning. Good to have you.
Thank you, guys.
All right.